Hello everyone. It's been a while, about 4 to 5 weeks of no content. I recently took a break to focus on my book that I'm working on. I'm writing in this journal a bunch of notes. If you can read my handwriting, it's okay. Sometimes I can't. But I got about 6 books in here. So I've been watching a lot of Harold Bloom, and he inspired me to make my own literary criticism book. I'm also going to mix it in with some philosophy and explain how the philosophy works into literature and psychology as well. So I've been working on that for 4 weeks. I had the idea for a lot longer then, but nothing implemented until just recently. I have a thesis, but it's a bit flimsy and it needs some supportive evidence to collide with them. Anyways, I got some books from the library, and I would like to share them with you, if you don't mind. This is the Iliad by Homer. I read this in high school. You probably already know what it is about. It's one of the prime books written in ancient Greece, although some would argue that Epic of Gilgamesh goes with that title as well, with the Bhagavad Gita. But in the book, with the Barnes and Noble translation, not the Alexander Pope translation, which would lead you to assume I'm reading on Goodreads. I tried clicking on this version on Goodreads, but it just wouldn't let me do it. So I stick with the Alexander Pope, which I heard is a good translation. This is with an introduction and notes by Bruce M. King, translated by Aeneas Rees, or Reese. If you are unfamiliar with this work, I'll read you the blurb on the back. The epic song of Ilion, an old name for Troy, the Iliad recreates a few dramatic weeks near the end of the fabled Trojan War, concluding with the funeral of Hector, defender of the doomed city. Through its majestic verses stride the legendary heroes Priam, Hector, Paris, Aeneas for Troy, Achilles, Ajax, Menelaus, Agamemnon, Patroclus, and Odysseus for the Greeks, and the beautiful Helen, over whom the long-standing war has been waged. Never far from the center of the story are the quarreling gods Zeus, Poseidon, Apollo, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. So if you also don't know, there is a movie about this called Troy with Brad Pitt. Now, it has been on the record that it is historically inaccurate, but it's a bit fun of a movie to watch. There's some action scenes in it with, I forgot pretty much all the names, sorry. But after the Iliad, I'm going to read the Odyssey, which is next. And if you don't know what that is, it's edited and with an introduction and notes by Robert Squilles, translated by George Herbert Palmer. And the only reason I get these editions is because they are really cheap, $10. So here's the blurb on the back. Long before the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Harry Potter, the ancient Greek poet Homer established the standard for tales of epic quests and heroic journeys with the Odyssey. Crowded with characters both human and non-human, and bursting with action, the Odyssey details the adventures of Odysseus, king of Ithaca and hero of the Trojan War, as he struggles to return to his home and his waiting, ever faithful wife, Penelope. I don't know how to pronounce Greek names. So after the Odyssey, you have the Aeneid, by Virgil, which I did read once. Again, I read all these in high school. Translated by Sarah Spence. Introduction and Notes by Sarah Spence. Translated by Christopher Pierce Cranch. And again, all of these are really cheap. So here's the blurb on the back. Written more than 2,000 years ago, and one of Western literature's indisputable masterpieces, the Aeneid is a Roman answer to Homer's epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. The later celebrated Greek civilization through the stories of victory in the Trojan War and the exploits of Odysseus. Virgil's Aeneid sings the triumph of Roman culture, transforming Troy's tragedy into a step on the path toward the founding of Rome by the descendants of the last Trojan hero, Aeneas. Fleeing the fallen city with a few followers, Aeneas undergoes a series of adventures, including a passionate love affair with the ravishing Dido, queen of Carthage, a visit to the underworld to meet the spirit of his father, and mortal combat with Turnus, a powerful king. Each episode tests his courage, morality, and humanity, and proves his worthiness as the ancestor of one of the greatest empires in history. And all together, they look like this. So I was familiar with Virgil through Dante's Divine Comedy, and Dante mentions Virgil as his favorite poet. And in the book, Virgil is Dante's spirit guide throughout the journey of the underworld, and as he exits hell or purgatory and enters paradise at the end of the Divine Comedy. So those are done with as far as discussing them is concerned. And here we have Penguin Classics, Cicero, On the Good Life. So on the back it says, a writer of outstanding charm and one of the first greatest popularizers, Cicero made it his task to resolve the contradictory systems of earlier philosophers. This volume brings together the tentative and undogmatic reflections on the good life, in which he discusses duty, friendship, the training of a statesman, and the importance of moral integrity in the search for happiness. Of particular interest, for its influence in the Middle Ages and later, is The Dream of Scipio, Cicero's vision of the afterlife. This gave currency to the notion of celestial harmony and the nine enfolded spheres, which appear in the poetry of Milton, Shakespeare, and Spenser. So, if you're familiar with my channel or my reviews on Goodreads, you know that I prefer Milton over Shakespeare. I just think Paradise Lost is better than anything Shakespeare ever wrote. Although I read few of the works of Shakespeare, such as Macbeth, Othello, The Tempest, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and whatnot, I would still argue that Paradise Lost is the better of all fictional works. I've been interested in reading this for quite some time. I plan on buying this, even though I haven't read it yet. I just know it's going to be a masterpiece, even if I disagree with it. Sometimes a book can be a masterpiece, even if you don't agree with it fully. And you'll find that more often with politics or history if you don't agree with the statements of a historian when they make their works into print. So here's Liberalism and Its Discontents, Francis Fukuyama, author of The Origins of Political Order. If I keep up the tradition of going to the blurb on the video instead of using my memory, because my memory's not as good as Harold Bloom's, and I'm a bit tired recently, but decided to make a video regardless. It says classical liberalism is in a state of crisis, developed in the wake of Europe's wars over religion and nationalism. Liberalism is a system for governing diverse society that is grounded in fundamental principles of equality and the rule of law. It emphasizes the rights of individuals to pursue their own forms of happiness free from encroachment by government. It's no secret that liberalism hasn't always lived up to its own ideals. In the United States, many have long been denied equality before the law, excluded from the category of full human beings worthy of universal rights. Only recently has the definition expanded to include, to varying degrees, women, African Americans, LGBTQ+ people, and other historically marginalized groups. As a renowned political philosopher, Francis Fukuyama shows in Liberalism and its Discontents, the principles of liberalism have also, in recent decades, been pushed to new extremes by both the right and the left. Neoliberals have made a cult of economic freedom, and progressives have focused on identity over human universality as central to their political vision. The result, Fukuyama argues, has been a fracturing of our civil society and increasing peril to our democracy. In this succinct, clear account of our current political discontents, Fukuyama offers essential defense of a revitalized liberalism for the 21st century. So if you find any of these works interesting, you can check them out for yourself as well. Another book I've been waiting to read is The Lonely Man of Faith by Joseph B. Soloveitchik. On the back it reads, the essay, The Lonely Man of Faith, existential in tone, is one of the most personal expressions ever voiced by modern Talmudic authority on the elemental power of religious faith and the ways in which the joy of life often come mixed with longing, torment, and despair. Now this cool cover comes from Mario Vargas Llosa, a Peru writer, and I haven't read many Spanish authors aside from Borges, so I'm stepping out a bit, is The War of the End of the World. Keeping up with the tradition, in the back it says, deep within the remote backlands of 19th century Brazil lies Canudos, home to all the damned of the earth, prostitutes, bandits, beggars, and the like. It is a place where history and civilization are turned upside down. There is no money, property, income tax, no marriage of census, or no decimal system. Canudos is a revolutionary spirit in its purest and most apocalyptic form, a state that promises to be a libertarian paradise, but that the forces of the modern world and the nation state cannot tolerate. In one of his most brilliant and most tragic novels, Mario Vargas Llosa retells a crucial event of Latin American history. It is an unforgettable tale of passion, idealism, adventure, and man's struggle to be free. Here is another Penguin Classics, the vegvita. The vegvita, circa 1200 through 900 BC, a collection of more than 1,000 hymns, represents the first extensive composition in any Indo-European language. Fraught with paradox, the hymns are meant to puzzle, to surprise, to trouble the mind, writes Professor O. Flattery, who has selected and translated 108 hymns for this volume. Details of daily life, the rich symbolism, and the mechanism of Vedic ritual, the pure poetry of the hymns. These elements combine to form a unique insight into early Indian mythology, philosophy, and religion. So, the story of why I got this edition is nothing out of the ordinary, although, as per not looking into the editions when I get them from the library, but here's being mortal. And if you can see there, it says large edition, which for some reason I got over the small edition. I don't think it'll be a problem. I'm going through it now and it seems fine. It's just I'm not used to it. So on the back it says modern medicine has transformed the dangers of childbirth, injury, and infectious disease from the harrowing to the manageable, but in the face of our inevitable aging and death, what it can do often runs counter to what it should do. Through eye-opening research and gripping stories of his own patients and family, Atul Gawande reveals the suffering this has produced. He examines the profession's limitations and failures as life draws to a close, and he shows how the ultimate goal is not a good death, but a good life until the very end. So that's all I have to offer for all of you today. If you find any of the works interesting, do feel free to check them out. And I'm wondering how you've been the past 4 weeks and whether you have any good reading habits, good books to share of your own, or whether you had a reading slump as well. And either way, it is okay. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day.